Wow, have we got something super special for you guys today. A good friend of ours that we've known for a while. He's got a small pressure washing business. He's adding some interesting services into the business. So if you guys have had questions about adding services to your small business, this is the episode for you. We're talking about mole removal.
Yeah, that's right. We've got a good friend of ours. He's joining us today for an interview. He's actually a veteran. He's in the Guard, I believe, actually, and he's a drill sergeant. So if you are a veteran that you own a business and you're looking to add on a service, this is a tailored interview for you.
Yeah, and why would someone want to add a business to their business or add a service?
Don't ask me. We've never done it.
The plane's wings get bigger.
There you go. And then winter is also...
It's cold, man.
It's coming. And so whenever winter's coming, you're thinking like, what can I add to the plane or to our business to be able to generate more income? And so that's what we're going to be discussing. It's kind of a baby company. And so he's got a bunch of great questions about starting this. Does he need to create a standalone website? Does he add it to his website? How much money he should be marketing and spending in this, and then the best way to launch this service and this business. So we're going to end up stepping into that in a second.
Yeah, so you guys go ahead and start dropping some comments down in the chat box about what the heck even is mole removal, how do you do it, any questions that you have about that service. And I'm Brady.
I'm Joshua.
And I'm Josiah.
See you in a minute. Peace.
Welcome back to Mastermind Monday. We have a great episode in front of us today. We got Joshua Brown here. We got Brady Ridings, who looks a little bit different today.
What up, Brady?
I'm just joking. This is not Brady. This is Sean. He is going to be our guest today, and I'm super excited to dive into kind of what he has in front of him as it relates to a business that he's starting up. So there's a lot of really cool things going on here. So if you got questions on how to start maybe a new business, or you're thinking about starting a business, or you have a new business that you are like trying to get up and going and trying to get traction, go ahead and start dropping questions down into the chat. We will get to those when we see them. But we do have quite a few in front of us. But before we get too far into the weeds here, let's go ahead and do some highlights. Like what's been good this week? What's been maybe highs or lows, either one. Josh, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, I can do that. And it could be, as far as our subject matter today, it could be starting a new business, or it could even be just adding a service to a business that you already have. You're just trying to figure out, what's the wins, what's the losses, how can I do a SWOT analysis to determine whether or not I want to start this. But from a high and low, this past weekend, I had the opportunity to hang out in Nashville with people that have the kind of money. One of the dudes inside the room just bought an airplane. And when I say like a jet,
that's a literal high.
Yeah, a literal high. And it's like, okay, I'm in the wrong room. There's people here that are dropping money on personal aircraft vehicles. But my walk away from the week was basically this. Every home needs a leader. Every business needs a leader. Every environment, every church, every circle needs a leader. And when the leader shows up, things get better. They lead through love, encouragement, mercy, kindness. But at the end of the day, whether it's inside of a home, inside of a business, the absence of someone that raises the temperature and the level of the room, if that person isn't in the room, the place dies. And what I would walk away is saying, like, our country in of itself, our homes, our churches, our businesses, we need leaders, man. We need people not just there to show up, but to show up to raise the lid of everyone that they're around, to encourage and to love and so forth. So my walk away is that it's a painful process to not have a leader inside the home or to have a leader inside your business.
That's good.
And so if you're going to go up, you got to give up some stuff so you can be a leader.
Sean, you got a win or a low, high or low?
I do. So we had my wife and I had a garage sale this weekend, and I fought very hard to agree with her and do what she says, and not try to resist my temptation to fight everything that was said and done. So my win was that we survived the garage sale. We sold a lot of stuff that we didn't need. We cleared out a lot of stuff in the house, and we both survived together without any major blowups. So.
Yeah, and your wife, she's actually going to be with us today on the channel. Maybe not chatting with her, so we don't have a camera nearby or anything.
She'll be commenting, I'm sure.
But is there anything you want to tell your wife, now that you're on the air? This would be
it's a tie between who is the leader of the household.
It's
After what Josh said, some days it's you, some days it's me.
Yeah, that's good. Hey, what did you sell that you absolutely didn't want to sell, or you put in the yard sale that you didn't want to put in the yard sale?
So I had like 8 items that I was going to sell in the garage sale. It's like, this is what I'm going to sell. I woke up Saturday morning and my wife had half the house for sale.
Let's go.
Was there one
the whole
item?
room? Yeah. So I literally woke up to no side table on my bed. It was in the yard sale. So I didn't want to sell that. And then we had a couple really cool paintings that I liked. She decided she didn't want them anymore. So
yeah,
luckily we didn't sell one. I got to keep one. But yeah, there was a lot of stuff that I was like, why are we selling this? She's like, I don't want it anymore.
Hey, I want to encourage you on. Hey, we're going to have the pressure washing pastor show up for a second. So, Sean, just for a second, there's a thing that's called like a spouse survey. And you learn that if you allow them to kind of choose what to do.
I refuse.
But hey, listen, but life will get so much better by just letting them take the lead. And so like you can actually win by letting them lead because they've thought through things that we haven't thought through. My wife is a G, but like I disagree with her all the time.
My wife is very smart.
Yeah.
She's way smarter than me.
And so she had a plan for the side table for replacing the artwork. And so anyway, you want to be happy, make sure you let
we talk about this all the time, and she's like, just listen to me and do what I, not like so much do what I say, but why do you have to argue with everything I say? And it's like, I refuse to be that guy that's like, the wife is like, go get the ladder at the garage, go get the Christmas lights. And they don't say anything and they just walk out and come back. Like I'm like, I am going to put up a fight on certain things. Like I refuse to be that guy that's just like miserable. And, I see it.
Yard sales will do that to you.
Yeah.
I had my wife and I, I guess this could be a low or take place in my highlight, but my wife and I, we did a yard sale one time, and it was like a community yard sale, and I walked out there and I found my cougar paws and my metal detector out there.
I need a metal detector.
And they were like $2 each. And I'm like, what? They didn't even sell. But anyways, let's jump into it. Josh, you want to pray us in real quick?
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out, like, how do we create a common ground for these conversations? Because like cougar paws are like 150 bucks. And then it's like, why couldn't there be a process of, hey, can you help me understand what the value of this is? And then who will use them if you're not using them? So I wish there was a conversation, inside of these decisions.
Maybe that can be in the next episode.
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, let's go ahead and pray. Father, thank you again for another day on this planet. Thank you for having a guest here today. Father, we ask that you would help us help him in giving him wisdom and clarity on directions and discernments for him on his business. And then we thank you for those who are inside the room, inside the chat, and they're going to be watching us later on. May there be something that we say that encourages them inside their faith, inside their family, inside of their fitness, and inside their business. And it's in Christ's name I pray. Everyone said,
Amen.
Amen. So let's get started.
All right. So Sean Smith, you own Flatline Mole Control. How did you land there? Who are you? How'd you end up at this table? Kind of give us some backstory.
So I joined the Army. I'm from Michigan. I joined the Army late after college, 25. I was stationed here in Tennessee at Fort Campbell. Did my time there, got out. I stayed in the reserves, went back to college, got a bachelor's degree here in Tennessee. And I was applying for jobs all over and traveling, and it just wasn't going as fast as I wanted to. Going back to the wife thing, I was getting a lot of pressure, making money, paying the bills. Started pressure washing like everybody else, which led me to a early on pressure washing business, which led me to a career for the last 5 years with a pressure washing retailer, which is how I met you guys. So I've essentially worked alongside your company for the last 5 years. And recently I left that company and looking forward to starting a mole trapping business here in Tennessee. We bought a house last fall. It's full of moles. Wanted to redo the yard, but I said, we have to get rid of the moles if we want to have grass. So I started doing that, and just like pressure washing started, 6 years prior, the neighbor wanted me to come, the next neighbor, the next neighbor, the next neighbor. And, I was like, I could do this, and it's not labor intensive, which I love. And, I get to, I still get to work with people, and I get to, I don't have to haul a trailer around anymore.
Yeah, I love the idea and the conversation. And how'd you come up with the name Flatline Mole Removal? Is that what you said?
Control.
Control.
So I'm kind of debating control versus trapping. I don't know how well trapping will be received, but I'm a very straight and to the point person. So I want, I'm gonna put it out there, and so I'm kind of still debating that, but switching those two. But I heard on a podcast. All these successful people are very flatline people. Their highs are lows, and their lows are low, and they're just very even keeled. And that's how I am. Like we were talking earlier, even though I'm excited on the inside, I don't show it on the outside. I'm very mellow. I get over things really fast. I don't hold a grudge. And in the podcast, they call them flatliners. So that's kind of where I came up with the name.
Yeah, when I hear the word flatline, Josiah, what comes to your mind when you hear flatline?
I think that you're thinking of a song probably, but
No.
I'm thinking of
I'm-
something dying.
I'm
Dead.
yeah, flatline.
That's where I turned flatliner into flatline, which is dead moles.
I love it. I love that idea.
Yeah.
And then like the image can be like a mole on its back, and maybe
Gosh,
No, it's gonna be the heart rate monitor with the outline of a mole and a flat line.
I love
I like
that,
it.
dude.
Yeah.
One thing I would encourage you to process, and we haven't got into your questions yet, but if you're starting a business and you're trying to get creative on a name, don't be too creative. You want to be like, if you're writing a book on how to start a pressure washing company for dummies, you want to basically use whatever keywords that someone would be typing into Google. And so if you were trying to kill moles or look for a mole removal company, you want your name to look like what you would search inside of the Google AdWords. And so for someone that knows nothing about mole removal, I would definitely recommend a flatline mole removal as being your name, because if I'm typing in Google, I'm guessing those are going to be some of your top keywords. And then there's keyword generators that can help you discover what terms people are putting in that are looking for your services. But that is going to be that'll ultimately determine who clicks on your site, who sees your site, which ultimately will determine how fast and how far you go over time. So control, I don't, for me, I'm not thinking I'm typing in control. I'm thinking in like howtokillmole.com, something like that to figure out.
If you have moles, I've learned if somebody has moles, they want them gone. They don't care how. So, I don't want to be misleading. Like, we'll talk about like with the control thing, like I want to make it very clear, like what I'm doing when I come,
Yeah. So flatline mole removal or something to that effect. That's just straight to the point. But I'd look up the key name on it or the keywords, and I'd put that in mind, because when you go to register it on Google or Bing, the name that you register will also be connected to those keywords for your SEOs. And so it's massively important that it's what people type in.
So we actually have Brady jumping in on the chat. So if you're not in the chat, go ahead and jump in there and ask some questions like Brady is. But he's wondering, what does the process look like as it relates to trapping the moles?
That's a good question. So, somebody would call me, a customer would call me and say, hey, I'm having a lot of mole issues. You're going to have the runs, the lumps and the mounds in the yard that everybody's seen. The grass is going to die. All the roots are dead. So they would call me. I would say, yep, I'd love to come out there. Much like you guys would pressure washing, I'll come out and take a look at the yard, try to figure out how many moles you have, give you a rough estimate and, what you can expect to pay per mole. And then kind of gives me an idea how many traps to set. And then, usually if they agree, sometimes like what I've seen is they'll have a budget. They'll be like, hey, I want $500. So, essentially it's like 5 moles. Or they'll say, hey, a $1,000 budget. So obviously I'm going to put out more traps, 15 traps. Some people just want them gone. So I'll just kind of do my best to assess the property, set up the traps, and then I usually check them within a few days, depending on where they live, kind of create a route and say, hey, I'm stop by tomorrow to check the traps. And, hey, great. Thank you. You got 2, you got 3, you got 4, you didn't get any.
So they're traps that go in the ground and they kill or they catch the moles?
They're kill traps. So the mole goes in, sets them off, and the mole's dead. And then I'll come in, every few days and pull them and reset them. Okay. If they want to keep paying for it.
That's good. So we've got a list of questions here that you've sent in that we're going to kind of dive into really quick, but we'll read it and then we'll let you kind of explain a little bit of what you meant by it, kind of give some backstory, and then maybe we can kind of help out the best that we can. But this is the first general question that's going to kick us off. And it is, I want to grow a business that is well diversified and does not rely solely on any one condition. As I grow my business, I want to be protective in the way that I train my staff so that there are no single points of failure. You want to kind of walk us through that question real quick?
Yeah. So, for anybody watching or listening, you may be operating by yourself like I am, but you hope to grow the business into a multi employee company, whether it's 2 or 3 or, whatever. And you want everybody to, kind of know their role. And in the military, you always want to know the role above you. So, if something happens to that person at war, you can step in and take charge. And so that's kind of my idea with that, is everybody knows what everybody's doing and how to do it. So it's not like, hey, you're going to be in charge of, estimates. You're going to be in charge of setting the mole traps. I want it to be interchangeable between everybody. So if, Timmy's sick, Billy can go and everybody knows what to do.
All right, let me call a timeout real quick, okay? One of the things that you said is you want to grow a business. You don't want to kill a business, right?
Correct.
You don't want to go flatline.
Correct.
And you want to have well diversified. And the way that you define diversified is that anybody can step into the role to do whatever needs to be done in case things go flatline.
Correct.
Okay. So one of the thoughts is you also have a pressure washing company. Is this business still operating?
Yeah. So I've done that the last several years on the side on the weekends.
Will you continue to grow this business alongside of that business?
Hopefully not. Well, yes, up to a certain point.
Okay.
So right now I have to, because I left my last job pretty abruptly. So, I have to do that right now, especially going into winter to make money. But my goal is to.
Yep. And then you do a great job with sealing and staining. So that's also a part with woodwork and patios and things like
Correct.
that. Is that part of the business?
No, not much anymore. No.
Okay. And then window cleaning?
Yep. Window cleaning.
Okay. And so are you mainly targeting commercial customers, residential, or whoever you can find?
Mostly residential.
Okay.
I don't have the setup to do the big commercial stuff.
Yep. And so when I think of diversified, my mind automatically goes to, we've got multiple different services that we offer. That's how I immediately hit it. You put it in here as someone that can jump in its spot. And so for me, I love the fact that you've got other streams of revenue while you try to grow a mole removal business. I think that is super wise, and I'd keep on to that. I would try to keep all those things going, but I'd put my marketing and my money and my time in growing the mole removal business, because the goal is to, in my opinion, is to be the Chick-fil-A of mole removal. And at the end of the day, you want to be able to go to landscaping companies, you want to go to the golf courses, you want to go to whoever is the avatar. There's fire, will help me out. So for people who get irrigation inside of their yards, every winter they have to have people come in, blow out the hoses with air, get all the water out. I would try to put together a boots on the ground. There's a question that's going to come up here in a second. But my winter project, I'm going to answer a question that's later on because it's connected to here. Man, am I going to?
No, you're doing good.
I need to stop.
We'll keep going.
All right. So your winter goal is to create your marketing material and your business plan for boots on the ground. I'm not going to start using a lot of money on your social media. You can put together some Facebook, but really, I think you want to build some relationships. And then you don't want to mention anything about pressure washing, window cleaning, because if you confuse what you do, you're less likely to gain traction. And you want people to ultimately remember, you're the mole guy, you're the mole guy, you're the mole guy.
So free marketing, essentially, using me to market.
Yeah, your wife will be happy because you're not spending a ton of cash.
Right. And I'll be gone.
Making money. She don't want you to be gone. She wants you to make money.
I like that.
Okay. And so we'll put together here a plan in a few minutes. But I like the idea of that your ultimate goal is to create a business that I would be interested in franchising and offering it to people in different cities. So I'm giving you an ask here live on the air that if you grow it to be successful, that I'd be able to purchase a licensing agreement to be able to franchise it to other places and we grow it. So, but that'll be in the future, because right now it's a baby idea that we want to grow.
Correct.
And we want to help you grow it. Let's keep moving forward.
Yeah. The second part of that is, as I grow my business, I want to be proactive in the way that I train my staff so that there's no single points of failure. This really is like super important. And it's so important that you recognize it and you made this the number one thing. And I'm sure that being in the military, that's something that you've learned to love and enjoy, as far as having the structure and everybody knows their roles and responsibilities. They know the roles below them, above them, XYZ. And so I would just make a note inside of this as far as like anything that you create or you're doing, just document along the way. Because what ends up happening is at least for me, what I experienced was I learned how to do house wash. I learned how to do roof wash. I learned how to do all these things. And then I started to bring people on, and like, I was the training guy. I trained them, and it was great. They knew how to do everything the way that I knew it. And then the moment that I handed someone off to be trained by someone else was the failure point. And so
it's like the phone game. I tell you something, you tell him something. By the time it gets to the end, it's
exactly like that.
Yeah.
And so document everything. Don't feel like it has to be perfect, because you can always come back and adjust things as needed. But even if it's just you, document everything. And so that sounds really boring. Sounds like really boring advice.
That's my offer for you guys, and letting me come here, is to come up with a cheat sheet, that you guys can use to, with my experience over the last 5 years, they can diagnose something real quick in the field and say, hey, this wire and this wire,
Yeah, it's so good.
We're back in business.
Yeah, I think that's going to be an area in your business that you'll exceed in. And so we all have like different geniuses that we operate with.
Yeah.
Your area is going to be high there. You could probably even chat with your wife and say, hey, what are the things I'm really good in, and what are the things I need to listen to you more at? And she's going to share that immediately with you. Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat right now.
I need to do that.
But I think organization is going to be there. But when it comes to training, just getting back to that point, I hate one day doing landscaping, the next day pressure washing, the next day window cleaning, and the next day mold removal. And if I'm trying to reproduce a company or dude to be able to, or dudette to do these services, it's going to take a ton of time for me to get them to do all those different services. That's why I like the idea of you earning the money, doing those side hustle businesses, things you don't have to train anybody, and do all of your energy thinking one thing: how do I grow this? And
the things that you're going to dissolve later on, keep those for yourself. That way you're not wasting the energy of others to learn something.
Yeah. And what I've learned about successful people is that they don't just show up one day and run a marathon. They train day in, day out, day in, day out. James Clear wrote a book on Atomic Habits, and it's 1% better every day, and you don't quit. If you do that, you're going to end up becoming a giant. And so that's what you just want to remember, is like 1% better every day in the mold removal company, and don't quit.
And I'm the way I learn is repetition. So I'm not like one of those people that can, you show me how to do something and I automatically I have to do it over and over and over and over.
That's good. Next question. What are your thoughts on branding the veteran-owned business, and how have you seen veteran discounts affecting your business? Does it help or does it hurt?
I almost want to throw that back to you, Josiah, because I do have strong thoughts and opinions on it, but I'm just curious what you would say before I ended up sharing that. What would be your off-the-cuff answer on that?
So off the cuff, this is what I do know is one of the greatest advantages that I've seen inside of operating a business as a veteran is you have first dibs on any large government contracts. So minority businesses or veteran-owned businesses get first bids. And so like we are neither one of those. And so we're down the list. And so it's a huge advantage as it relates to big contracts or different things that you can tap into as it relates to, all this, but like loans that you can get. I mean, you've got lots of great advantages there. Especially
if you have, if you already have clearance to get to an Army base or a government facility or whatever.
Ridiculous. Yeah. So I think that's huge. As it relates to maybe more so the 10% veteran discounts or different things like that, I am all for that. But what you see a lot of people doing is when they are using their veteran discounts, they try to stack them on other discounts. And so I've just learned, hey, I'd love to let you use this. We usually do whichever one's greater. So I'll look at the discounts, I'll figure out which one's better for you, and then we'll just apply that one.
Yeah, depending on the season. I was going to say whatever is authentically you. And so I would ask that you do some just work here and ask the question, am I trying to make a play that's marketing, or am I trying to make a play based on who I am? And so at the core, are you passionate about it? Can you tear up talking about serving veterans? We do the widow washing And that's something we can be passionate about. We can give tears sharing the story of us watching widows' homes in Nashville for free. And so just make sure, and anybody that's watching, and you're trying to decide how to grow a business, and you're like, well, they do widows and they do veterans. And it's like, don't do what others do. Find something you're passionate about and then give back to it. And so I don't care if it's veterans, widows, orphans, you name it. Do something that's authentically you. That way you can be passionate about it. And when you talk about it, you actually tear up because it makes a difference in what you're doing.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And so that's where I would say, if you can get there, man, be it and do it. And then if you get any governmental jobs that need pressure washing, just
you do always do pressure washing, by the way.
I
So
know
like we'll show up with a flat line on our shirts. I don't care.
Yeah. So the reason behind that question is, I will offer that veteran discount. Those are my, that's who I want to take care of. But it's like there's so many veterans. So part of me is like, do I want to put that on a vehicle or on a, it's everybody's doing that nowadays because of, we've been at war the last 20 years. So part of me is like, is it cheesy or is it just everybody's doing that because, it's the thing now to do.
So this is what you're going to do. Whatever you do, you'll attract some and detract others. And so you're going to attract anybody that's a veteran that thinks like that. They're going to be like, hey, I want to call that company. When it comes to those that aren't inside the veteran community, it's kind of like running. Do you run, Sean? You mountain bike.
Only when I have to.
He only does it because he expects others to.
Yeah.
Hey, you mountain bike, but do you ever bike on the road?
Not much, no.
Yeah. One thing, once you're a runner and you're running down the road, one thing that you know is who's a runner and who's not that's driving.
Yeah, right.
Because people who run are going to slide over while you're running down the road. The ones who don't, it's like, look at this fool. I'm going to run this guy over.
Right. Let's see how close I can get.
They don't move, man. Yeah. And it's like, the reason you treat me this way is because you don't know what it's like to be a runner. And so it's the same thing in whatever you're promoting, is that you're going to draw near to one group and then you're probably going to detract another. If you do nothing, you don't lose any of them. You ultimately have to decide, do I want to mainly attract a certain group of people, but you won't be remembered by non-veterans that you're, frontline veteran, mole removal.
Yeah.
So it's just, I'm not helping you a ton in this because ultimately you need to know you're going to win some, lose others. You got to make a decision who you want to win. And it could be something small or big, but the size of it is ultimately going to determine how many move towards you, how many move away or don't remember. As a result, they'll think, oh, there's another one of those guys trying to play that card. So if your strategy is boots on the ground and relationships, you can go all in on veterans and because you can talk about it from your heart. If it's just on a door hanger or on the side of a truck, it's, I don't know. So anyway, that's my quick thought.
Okay.
No, I like it. I don't see many people opposing veteran companies.
For sure.
I think when I hear veteran company, I think they're probably organized and they'll probably show up on time. So like I wouldn't hesitate.
That's true.
It would probably be harder to operate a Christian-owned business or a conservative business or a liberal business or whatever. I like veterans. I feel like are very neutral for the most part, at least in our area. They are. But we'll jump on down here. What helped you stay focused on the goal early on when the jobs were not coming in?
That would be a question for me. And I think I understand the question. It's a seasonal business. I'm guessing is mole removal seasonal. And you're going to have a strong play of what to do when it's not coming in, or you need to make sure your wife is okay with you being at home or going fishing during times it's not the season. And it just needs to be an agreed upon, communicated out loud conversation with your spouse, because you want to have a strong marriage as you get older. And then what keeps me focused is I had a side hustle, and when I say a side hustle, I had a full-time job that I was able to work. So it didn't stress me out when I had to do that. And then, for you, it might be grab an Uber, grab a Lyft, Uber, Papa John's, do something.
Whatever it takes.
Because I know I can make 10, 15 bucks an hour doing this while I'm trying to grow this other thing. And so just be creative, be diligent, maybe even say, hey, reach out to a pressure washing company and say, hey, can I do some work for you during our off season or something like that? And so just get creative or build things that you're good at and things like that. But you will get distracted if you don't have money coming in to support your family. And then it's going to get a lot of tension inside your home when it's like, man, you said this thing was working and you brought in $50 in the last 2 weeks,
Right.
and it's like, okay, baby, here's the game plan. This is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Make sure it's clearly on paper where she can see it and know your 30, 60, 90, 1 year, 5 year goals. And then she can be part of it,
Yeah. For anybody watching, if you, especially being in the pressure wash business, you have to have that plan to set money aside for the winter.
Mhm.
But, that question was inspired recently. I left my job, we're headed into winter. It's like, now what am I going to do? So you have to, you have to have that money set aside no matter what you're doing,
Are you someone that stays focused, like regardless of anybody's watching it? And like, are you someone who can easily, like for me, I can very easily fall back into a place of comfort if I don't have people surrounding me or anything like that? Is that you, or are you pretty disciplined inside?
I have like extreme tunnel vision. So once I get something in my head or something that I want to do like that, there's nothing that, it's going to happen.
That's good.
Around the house or whatever, like, planting grassy, like it's going down this weekend.
Yeah. Yeah. Which can be really good and can be really bad, especially if you get focused on something that's negative or something that's really good. And so I would recommend maybe trying to find a few people who can hold you accountable to the goals that you are setting so that it happens. So like my wife may not always be the person that I would want to hold me accountable to at least the professional goals that I've got. And I want someone to be able to lovingly say, hey, you're kind of slacking.
Yeah.
You said
you've been home doing nothing for too long.
Right. Yeah. Or like you're sacrificing your marriage as a result of you trying to grow this business. Like you'll want people around you to call you out on things. And so if you're not a part of like get a group text with a bunch of guys, reach out to either one of us or get into a mastermind. I would say that is important to have people in the same community.
Yeah. When it comes to focus, it's really about our behaviors that we have inside of our calendar. And so what you'd want to do is the first step of leadership is identifying where you are. The second part is knowing where you want to go. And then the business plan is how you're going to get from where you're at to where you're going. And so I'd go to Google, I'd type in, free business plans for home service businesses, see what comes up, and then put together a skinny business plan. And then when you look at the business plan, it's going to say, do these things, whatever things it says do or that you write in there, you then take your calendar and put it into a certain block of time on your work week. That way, every Thursday at 10 o'clock, I'm going to go to golf courses. And then you put that in, and then you stay focused on those behaviors, and you don't change those behaviors until you've done it for like 6 to 8 weeks. And you're like, Thursday ain't working real well.
Right.
I'm going to have to figure out some other places to go. But in order to stay focused, it helps to create a business plan and then put the business plan on paper with your behaviors. That's like 9 o'clock every morning. I'm going to, when I say every morning, I wouldn't do the same behavior every morning, every day, because I'd want to play with a little bit.
Yeah.
And so you've got
have structure,
but have it on paper. And then that way, I'm supposed to be doing this on Tuesdays at 10 o'clock. If you don't have that structure, you might end up, playing Uno, or sleeping.
Forget about it.
Yeah, forget about it. And so if you do that, you're more likely to achieve the goals that you decide, but not doing it is a great way to have no plan whatsoever. And then the encouragement would be do it differently depending on the season that you're in. And so your game plan during the winter is going to look different than your game plan in the spring or the different seasons. So you may want to have a game plan that matches the seasons that of your company.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. My goal, like you said, 1% better every day. My goal now, the last few weeks, is do one thing every day that is going to grow that business, whether it's texting somebody or calling somebody or, talking to somebody, a stranger, hey, do you have moles, whatever.
Yeah.
So good.
One thing that people don't talk about enough, and if you're watching online, a lot of times we do think about what's the best marketing strategy. How do we close the deal? How do we get a sale done? How do we offer these services or these products? And how do I get it done efficiently, in a nice workflow? And then how do I make sure I have cash flow? And those behaviors should take like last place to the development of your own leadership. And so one thing I would encourage you on, Sean, is to grab some books or some podcasts of folks that are nailing the business and just soak it in. And because those that you surround yourself with, you'll end up becoming. And so I would identify 3 or 4 authors, business owners, podcasts, and just start soaking it in during your trail run or during a walk or during your coffee, because raising your leadership is ultimately going to raise every single thing else that you do. So that would be something that I would mention. If I'm growing a book, I got to grow my mindset.
Surround yourself with positive, the right people with a positive attitude.
Yeah. And it can't be it can't be the people that you like. It has to be people that are doing what you want to do.
Yeah.
And, some people have students, or, if you've got kids or you're trying to make a decision who you want to spend time with. Too many times people make a bad decision and it costs them more than they wanted to pay by hanging out with someone because they were looking for a friend and not looking for a character trait or a business plan or whatever that thing might be. Because ultimately you surround yourself with people that are doing the things you want to do so you can be who they are, so you can do those things.
Right.
Yeah.
The next question is, what can I be doing this winter to prepare for the spring? Now, you've already kind of answered this a little bit, but if you're just now jumping in, we are going over Sean Smith. He is our guest today, and we're learning how to start a mole removal business. And so if you got questions, you can drop them in the chat, or if you're watching later on when this is not live, drop them in the chat still, and we can come back and respond to those. But Josh, do you have any advice on what to do in the wintertime as he prepares for the spring? I'm assuming that moles is there a season for mole removal?
Yeah. So, when the ground gets frozen, when we go in a drought, the moles go deep. It's safe, so around here, probably I would say end of October, early November, and then anytime that we have a drought.
Okay.
So I would have a conversation with my spouse, and I'd be like, "Baby, we're about to have a drought, and I'm going to have to find some ways to make some money." And so the first thing I would do is try to figure out, what am I going to do to make money? Is it going to be at Uber? Is it going to be at Lyft? Is it going to be Papa John's, Domino's, whatever it might be? And I would make sure I get those jobs during that time, because it gets stressful when the finances get low, and then fights happen, divorce happen. That's the last thing we want. So I'd first get the money thing figured out on how we can get skinny, during the season, and then how I can find a job that's going to provide. When it comes to the business side of it, and because right now I'm basically trying to give you advice on how to bring in some cash or how to bring in some clarity with your relationship with your spouse. When it comes to the business, that is the time to get your marketing dialed in. And so door hangers and business cards with QR codes and maybe some yard signs would be the number one thing that I would focus on. And then I'd go around to those commercial landscaping companies. I would build relationships with the who's.
Start handing stuff out.
And I would introduce myself to them. I'd go to what's called lunch and learns with real estate offices. And I'd just educate them, like you said, and say, "Hey, did you know that, moles are a huge issue? Yeah, we know that. Did you know that these are some of their behaviors? I didn't know that. Hey, we can actually remove them legally in Tennessee by doing blah, blah, blah," and then start doing that. So put together like a little 10 to 15 minute elevator pitch, or it'd be longer than an elevator, but a presentation that you can take inside of a real estate agency group or take inside of a the demographic of
HOA or anything.
HOAs, those folks. And then you would have a responsibility to put on your daily task or your weekly task to be hitting 10 of these a week. Every week, I'm going to make 10 presentations. I'm going to make 50 phone calls. I'm going to send 100 emails. And then day in, day out, you work that plan, and a plan executed is more likely to get traction than one that's dreamed up. Or
than just a really good idea.
Josiah will like this one, but my plan now for the droughts is so convince her to let me buy a new boat, and fish tournaments. That way I'm making money while fishing. and that'll get us through the hard time.
You know, I hear that fishing does bring in a ton of money, so that is an excellent idea. You should definitely do that.
Yeah.
You should finance the most expensive boat that you can find.
I think so. I think I can't wait to show her that.
So lots of really good questions. I think that a lot of these questions should be ran through a decision filter of some sorts. And so do you have an idea of where you're wanting to go long term with this? Is this something that you're wanting to keep for a long time? Are you wanting to sell it later? Why are you starting this business? Do you have like the mission, the vision, values, and goals? I know those are really cheesy on the front end, but that is what helps you dictate all of the questions that should be every question you have should be ran through that filter, because if not, you'll end up wanting to start a concrete coatings business sorry, I didn't mean to throw you underneath the bus there, but okay. I've got a couple businesses that I've always wanted to start, and I just hear in the back of my mind, Josh saying, stay focused. And so I'm like, I need to stay focused and I need to run through the decisions. And so have you created that and sat down and really thought through?
No. And I'm not good about putting things on paper like you guys have been talking about. It's kind of like I know what I want to do and I know how I want to do it, but I have trouble with the big picture a lot. So it's like, here's what I want to do, but I don't know what that looks like. I kind of do, but I don't. Like, so this to me is like kind of a long term. I would like to do it by myself as long as possible. And it's kind of like a retirement thing. I've always been like, well, I don't think I'm the type of person to ever retire. I have to do something. So this is kind of like, hopefully there's moles in 30 years and, I can still trap them. But, that's kind of where I'm going. If I do have employees or, it would be nice to.
Flatline has removed all moles on North America.
I won't have to worry about retirement work then.
Have you heard the story about the guy who would catch mice inside the town? And have you heard of this?
Didn't he have like a pipe or something?
No, he's a pest. Way back in the day, he was a pest control guy, and what he would do is he would catch all the mice inside of this town, and he would put them all into a box, and he would let all of them fight each other, and the one that would win, he would take out, and he'd release back into the city. And
Alpha breed.
And so after time, every mouse that he would catch, he would take the most vicious one and release it back, and they would kill each other. And that was his strategy. So maybe you could.
It'd be hard to track the income on that.
Yeah, that's been done, and people do that, like dictators and things like that, Marxism and so forth. That's actually been done.
So we're getting to a point to where we're in the middle of the show, and we want to enter into a kind of like a rapid fire. You don't have a lot of time to think about these questions, but we want you to answer them as honestly as possible and just kind of off the top of your head. And these are business related, so we're not going to ask you, what kind of color your underwear is or anything like that.
Blue.
But is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Hey, speaking of underwear, if Superman was so smart, why does he wear his underwear on the outside of his pants?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I was just wondering.
He's probably smarter than us, and that's why we don't know.
Let's start doing it.
We don't know.
You think they would blow off?
They're
tight.
Question.
They must be.
They're tight. All right, rapid fire questions. One, what is the average ticket of a mole removal job?
I would say first time, depending on the size, we'll say $375.
$375 is the average ticket. Moles. Okay. One second question that was actually just kind of recently asked is, do you plan on building this to sell or keep? Keep. Okay. Next question. Could this business be turned into a subscription-based model?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's some out there that do other forms of mole control. You could definitely set it up as a subscription.
Okay. Do you have another option for people who don't want the moles killed, but more capturing?
No.
Ba-bam.
So if you go anywhere, there's all these products, like the noise machines, the vibrating machines, the grubs that they eat and die. Like none of that stuff. I mean, it may work, but there's no proof.
Yeah.
Like, so what happens a lot of times people put out the grubs that kill the moles or these little sound shakers, and then we go into a drought and they disappear for 2 or 3 weeks and they go to the neighbor's yard. Or I see a lot where they'll come through, tear up somebody's yard, and they go to the next yard. They like keep going. And so it's like, well, I had moles, but I don't have any moles. So if people get a false impression that, hey, this thing is working. But, you know, if you go to the website, like most states' website, the only effective way to get rid of moles is to kill them.
Yeah. And I love the fact that you educate your customers, because when you say, you know, someone ends up saying, hey, can we just put some grub worms down, or can we do this? Say, are you wanting your neighbors to experience the problem that you're having?
Yeah.
And it's like,
and I went through that myself. I was like, I need to get these things. But then I'm like, well, I don't know if they're dead. Like, you know, if I trap them and kill them, like I know I got 1 mole. I know I got 2 moles. You know, it's not like, well, I wonder if they are still there. I wonder if they just got sick and went and lay down and now they're back, or, you know.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you some really bad news right now, okay? And you like it straight.
Give it to me.
Okay. Nobody else is going to write your business plan. And if you want to see success take place, it's going to come down to you putting it on paper. And so you've got to get what's in your head on a piece of paper. That way you can execute your plan. And it's when you started out, you're the sales guy, you're the leader, you're the marketer, you're the operations, your services, and your financial manager. So you've got to put that thing on paper. That way you're able to succeed in it. And there is a ton of studies on a goal written down is a goal that's going to be more likely to succeed. And so the things that we're talking about today, I'd encourage you to re-listen and then write it down. And so when you go into, hey, what do I do this winter? You write down who are all the who's that could use this service, residential, commercial, what are all the neighborhoods? And you're being very focused. And also, what are the other businesses that might email blast your services that if they got a percentage of the sale, lead, whatever it might be, referral fees, because if you do that, that's the greatest way to do it as far as getting some momentum going. And then you've got to determine how far do you want to drive, because this gets into being super targeted
your service area.
And if I were to redo Browns all over again, I'd probably try to hammer one location or one area and own it, and then slowly grow from there.
That was advice I got from my neighbor. She's a very successful realtor. And she was like, you live here, hammer that area.
Yeah.
And then, you know, this is the next area. Like, focus on those 2 right now and don't worry about anything else.
Yeah. So what are the other HOAs? What are the other neighborhoods? Who are the who's knocking on doors, giving cards out? No brainer.
Yeah, that's good. We've got a pressure washing company, and we know a pressure washing company in Atlanta, and he's got like a 5 to 10 mile radius, and he's doing over 2 million in work.
Yeah,
5 to 10 mile radius. That's bonkers.
That's efficient.
That is efficient.
That's efficient.
He owns it for sure. Next question, which actually kind of rolls.
But that's as far as you can drive in Atlanta too. That's probably like an hour drive.
It takes them.
That's a lot of truth.
I've heard.
They use bicycles. Yeah. So this kind of rolls into what we just talked about, but how can I manage discounts, referrals, neighborhoods, repeat customers without being dishonest or losing money?
Yeah. So with that question comes, I'm a skeptical person. So when I see, like, you know, I got flyers in the mail and I called them and I was like, this isn't even like related. I don't know how this is like fake information, you know? So it's like when I go to a store and I'm like 20% off, like I feel like, and maybe, I don't know how you guys feel, but I'm like, they just marked up the price and then put a tag on it, you know? So I'm like, I don't want to be like 20% off, but I want to come across as, you know, 20% off.
Yeah. And so have you heard of Alex Hormozy? He's got a book out called $100 Million Leads. He's also got a book out, $100 Million Offers. And he says, don't discount too deeply. You're already positioning yourself as a weak customer or a weak business. He says, you know, go ahead and put it high. And so let your discounts be rare and just do 10% across the board, but be a stickler on being a niche. And then that way you can make the most amount of money on it. I don't know a ton of mole removal companies, and there's sure not a ton doing door-to-door sales and educating HOAs. And so I would encourage you.
Hopefully they're not watching.
Yeah. But you know what? They got to do what you're willing to do.
Yeah.
You know,
and I have no problem doing that. I really don't. It doesn't bother me to go. I mean, I'm just not that type of person.
Yeah.
Then just stick at it. Say, hey, this is our price, and we only offer this deal through this flyer or through this season, and just stick to
It's
it.
easier to remember it too. Like, hey, I got a coupon. I know it's 10%.
Yeah.
You know?
Stay there.
I know what you're talking about though. You go into Hobby Lobby, everything's like 60% off.
Yeah.
You're like, pfft.
But it's the same price as everywhere else you go. It's like, wait a second.
Right.
Like,
And
they
so
lured me in here, and I don't want to be like that.
yeah, there is a part of like justifying the purchase through a discount. And that is huge. I would say one real honest way is if you're doing referrals, if you're doing neighborhood or repeat customers, you do not have to pay for that call. And so that is a very honest way of saying, hey, if it's a referral, what is your average cost of acquisition? If you're paying for $50 to get someone to call you and to turn them into a customer, you don't have to pay that $50 anymore, and you can transfer that savings to the customer. And it doesn't change how much money you're going to make. One thing that we have worked on is creating an ambassador program where you can have someone in a neighborhood represent you and your business inside of their private community page. And basically you can turn one job into 10,
That's
15,
cool.
20. And so
It goes back to the trust thing,
it does. And you can give them the 15% off because it's not costing you anything to get them to call.
Right.
So that's a very honest way of doing it. But we have actually someone commenting on Facebook. His name is Trey.
Let's go, Trey.
He says, how can we enjoy a day off? My brain is always stressing on how to get better or more business. And so it's a good question.
I'll answer that.
Okay.
I have so many hobbies that I'm extremely passionate about that I have no problem taking a day off, but that's just me. I'm very, there's a lot going on in the country and people are, super stressed out and there's a lot of anxiety. And my answer to that, I'm not a doctor, but is more people need hobbies that they're passionate about. So like running, biking, mine is fishing. I could fish every day.
Yeah, a lot of people don't even know what they like to do.
Like I am obsessed with those things.
And if you're trying to grow a business, you convince yourself that business is what you love to do.
And you don't want to
Business is my hobby.
and you don't want to get burnt out. Like if if you're having trouble relaxing, you have to find some way to relax, just so you don't get burnt out.
Trey, I love your question. It makes me want to find out a little bit more about Trey's mindset, and really if it's a silly question or super serious, but this goes down to your mission. Like for me, I've shared this story in 2012. I felt like God had left me and I felt abandoned, and it went back to like childhood stuff. So I lost my faith, and also I felt like my life would be over and ending my life. It was a dark time. And from there, I ended up writing out a mission statement to finish this life, a godly man, husband, and father. And I can break down that entire thing into a book. But it comes out of that is what does it mean to be a godly man, husband, and father? And this gets into faith, family, fitness, and finances, or business for finances. My why, and so Trey, if you're listening, is to make sure you have a strong why for what you do each day. And that when you look at your faith, you look at your family, you look at your fitness, you look at your finances or business, that you're given your best to your faith and family. But, man, that's, I would say for me, okay, faith is at the base, because what is it if I gain the whole world, grow a big business, make a lot of money, and my family don't want to be around me? I have a heart attack, heart disease, cancer, diabetes by the time I'm 50. My dad died of colon cancer when I was 41. And so a strong why will help you determine what I need to be thinking about at this moment. And I break my day into quadrants, and I don't answer phone calls about business during certain times of the day, because faith, fitness, and family get the first part of my first 3.5 hours every day. Now, not everybody gets to do that, but you can work towards that. And when you start a business,
Even if it's 15 minutes.
If it's 15 minutes, do it. But when you're starting a business, there is this thing called season of sacrifice, where you may have to give up your fitness during a time of starting something up. You may have to give up your boating. You may have to give up, I don't want to say it, but there's times you have to give up fishing.
Absolutely.
And when you're starting something, you have to be willing to sacrifice almost everything in order to accomplish that thing, so you can end up having the time that you desire in the future to put those quadrants in proper perspective. But I share the same theology as you do, Sean. I want to make an impact with my life for as long as I'm here. I'm not trying to dip out. I'm not trying to grow and then be gone. I want to grow and grow and grow and grow. And when I use the word grow, I mean serve. Lead somewhere, make an impact, make a difference somewhere.
It's so good.
Yeah, and it's completely normal to be stressful, and well, especially if you're starting out a business or you're having money problems. I mean, that's completely normal to just have lose sleep, have it take over your. How am I gonna pay for this? How am I gonna pay for this? How am I gonna do that? And it just goes back to everything we're talking about, that you have to do something every day to make money, or try to make money, or get money to come in. And I think it's probably normal. I'm older, and I'm sort of I'm not financially stable, but I have enough, I have some money aside, a couple months mortgage is paid for or whatever. And so my goal with this business is to grow it and enjoy more freedom and not necessarily more work. So, I don't want to work 9 to 5 and have 2 days off a week. I want to, have some flexibility. So that's kind of why a lot of people have started their own business.
Yeah, and you can get there, and you can get there if you're willing to do what other people don't do. There's you have to give up to go up. One thing I would share with you in regards to an idea of succeeding is that you've got to fail more often in order to succeed more often. And so there's an idea that if something is failing or if something's not working, then we should give up. But in reality, successful business, successful people, successful marriages, they all have failures, and failures means you continue to try. It's ultimately what happens after the failure. So like our company, we have got more failures than probably we really have wins. Like we can highlight some of the wins, but I can be grumpy and go through all of these different areas that we've failed people, we failed projects, we failed timelines, we failed invoicing, collecting, like job descriptions, training. Like we fail all the time. But it doesn't mean we're not going to get up and keep pursuing. And it's really getting up and not quitting will build success.
And I think it's like that with everything. You're looking for, have an idea, you try it, you don't like it, you try something else, you try it. And it's like buying a pair of pants. Like, this is what I want. You buy them, you buy 3 or 4 pairs, and you're like, I don't like these, I don't like this, I don't like that. You finally buy that pair that's like, this is comfortable, the waistband fits good, I like the pockets.
That's so good.
So it's like that with everything.
I've only got 2 pairs of pants that I love, and I wear them like 7 days a week.
And you wear your underwear underneath them.
I don't wear underwear. No, I mean,
what?
Sorry.
So, I'm just so excited that you're on, because no one else that I know enjoys fishing. And so like, I've got all these fishing analogies that I have to keep to myself because no one understands them. But I had a wise man once tell me, if you're not getting snagged, you're not fishing hard enough. And like, I would fish with these older guys, and I might throw a lure into a tree that is so the honey hole, and I feel terrible because he's about to take his boat into the bank.
To what Josh was saying. You have to take risks. You have to throw it in the
and they would do it. They would go get my lure with so much grace and love, and they would say, that's exactly where you should have thrown. Exactly. And I'm like, man, that's like so awesome that they would say that and not make me feel bad for scaring off all the fish.
When you're cruising around the boat docks, look for the cobwebs.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Nobody's casting in there.
I at this moment, I feel like a bad dad, because when my kids get something snug, or what's the word? Snagged. I'm like, oh, now I got to go over here, pull the thing out, maybe jump in the water, unhook it, because that lure was expensive and I only brought 1 hook.
Yeah.
Like I got
rookie mistake.
I feel like a bad dad.
I'm a tackle hoarder, because I'm like, what if they're biting this color? I want 5 of them. What if they're biting this? I want 5 of them.
Just to kind of wrap up that question for you, I'd like to give a piece of advice. The first thing that you should sacrifice before you start sacrificing the things that you love is like laziness. Like I would get rid of, like, we don't have a TV in our house. It's not because we think watching TV is bad, but I have a very addictive personality, and sometimes it's hard for me to govern the things that I am choosing to do. And so no TV in our house. I want to maximize my schedule. Like if you're going to work for 8 hours, like inside those 8 hours, you better really be working hard so that you can have those margins on the back end. And then whatever you like to do, whether it's working out, trail running, like there are endorphins that go off when you're exercising. So like having a hobby where you're like out and doing something, if you catch a fish, it's like gambling, like there's something that goes off in your brain.
Reward.
Yeah. And so like, don't go gamble as a hobby, but like really think through like, hey, what could I do that would be enjoyable? Because you don't live to work, you work to live. So
that's wrong.
So just make sure that that's not the first thing.
Especially with winter coming, it's gonna get dark early. You're not gonna be able to be outside. You have to find something that's productive, because once you go in and sit down, you're done.
All right, so we're gonna play a quick game. We're gonna go down the line. I'll start it, and then we'll go to Josiah, and then we'll go to Sean. And I want you to share what all you've had to kill over the course of your lifetime to become the person that you are today. And so I want you to think about from all areas of life to be who you are today, what all have you had to kill? And if you hesitate for like a second or two, you're still in the game. We'll just move to the next person.
Oh, yeah, this is good.
So we just keep going.
We just keep going, maybe for like a minute or two, because I want to identify over the course of my life all the things I've had to kill in order to be who I am today. And then that also brings about the follow-up is like, what do I have to kill today to be who I want to be tomorrow? Yeah. So I will start it.
So are these habits, or is it like, what would an example be?
I'm going to give you an example. Okay. And for me, I'm very transparent. So I'm going to be straight up. Okay. And so I'm going to start from 19. Okay. So from 19, you don't have the timeline, your home story. This was not prepared, but I'm going to just share all the things I've had to kill in order to be where I am today. The best that I can. Okay. Porn.
Oh man, that was what I was going to say.
Yours?
Video games.
Microwave.
Microwave. Tell me.
I literally killed a microwave, and we don't own one anymore.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
We haven't used a microwave in probably 6 years.
Man, that is so good.
It freaks me out. It's always freaked me out, but we literally we dropped it and it broke, and we were like, no more.
That's awesome, man. Because they do
Toaster
put off
oven.
radiation, and
I feel like it can't be good.
that's so good.
Yeah.
Man, and what if it's partial kills? Can we share partial kills? Okay.
In progress.
It's your
skills.
game.
Okay.
Yeah, literally.
Man, and you shared mine too.
House rules.
Hey, I think we can repeat someone else's to identify.
That's not,
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Man, video games is what I was going to share on it, but oh, dude, I can't believe you said that. So Hot Pockets.
That might go with the microwave, but we'll let that pass. I'm going to go with Instagram.
Steak.
Steak?
Yeah. That's what all the questions. So it goes back to I felt like really like lazy, lethargic the last couple of years. And it's from, there's a reason for that now. So I gave up steak, and I used to always complain to you. I was like, I'm always tired. Like, where do you get your energy? I think that's why.
Interesting.
Soda.
Oh, dang, that is good.
Yeah, I gave up soda. I mean, I have a soda maybe once a year or once every 6 months at most.
I've pretty much deleted all desserts. Now there are the occasional. What?
Good
No,
for you.
Are there times where you've seen me eat desserts?
I'm not saying nothing.
There are times. So like last night, Kendall made no bake cookies, and I had some. But if I'm at a party, I'm not getting dessert.
80-20 rule. That's how I live my life.
Yeah, that's good.
With,
So desserts for me.
with steak, 80-20.
I'll eat it if I'm at home.
Okay, there you
If
go.
if I'm not around anybody, I'll eat it. Partying.
Wow, that's cool. Friends.
Mm.
I had to give up friends that weren't heading the same direction.
Yeah. Alcohol.
Employment.
Cigars.
That's rude.
Yeah, I'm just sharing.
The desire for a beard.
Oh,
Dishonesty.
sleeping in. I don't sleep in. If it's 3:30, 4 o'clock, I'm getting up.
I don't kill enough things now that I'm thinking about
You
it.
guys you guys are way better than I am.
My last one was a desire for a beard. I'm pulling things off the dome now.
Dude, if we
I think I'm. I don't know if I can go any farther. I think
it's me and Josh then.
Okay.
All right.
I think you're going to win. Go ahead.
No, you have more.
Sean just makes stuff up.
I said dishonesty. It's your turn.
Man, I feel like there's so many things that could be said, but I'd be a hypocrite if I say it because like I'm still trying to kill some things that are in my life. But one of the things that was a crutch since I was a child is I would fall asleep watching television on the couch.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the thing that I know that has to be put to death. And I would say 5 out of 7 days is dead. But sometimes I've run to that habit. Even last night, Dallas Cowboys,
Yep.
San Francisco. I want to be in my bed sleeping, but it's been a long weekend. And I'm trying to decompress. Within 5 minutes, I fell asleep. I only saw the offensive possession of the San Francisco. I don't know what happened after that. But I know for me, my whole life is dependent upon me going to bed in my bed at the time that I need to go to my bed so I can get the rest and recovery so I can be ready to go the next day. So I will say 5 out of 7 days, I kill the television before I go to bed.
That's good. Red Bulls.
One last loop, and then we got to end it.
Okay. Oh man, they're so hard. I think I have killed the majority of my entertainment, and I move more to education. And so I try to consume more education than I do entertainment. So like certain music and things like that.
I like it. Whitey Teddies.
That was our loop.
Dead.
Okay.
Dead.
Hey, the reason that's so helpful is to identify like there's things that hold us back in order to have what we want to have. And in order to grow the business that you want to have or add a service, it has to come from something else that you currently have inside your life. And so we've had locations that are no longer operating as Browns. And if I were to go into what's going on, it's some things weren't willing to be killed in order to give other things life. And so to me, some things have to die in order for other things to come to life. And that's what we've identified in our life is we had to kill some things in order to let other things live.
Sean, thanks for joining us today. I feel like I've learned as much stuff as as probably learned more than you have today, honestly.
Yeah.
About myself and about Josh.
Ideas.
Yeah. Sean, get a website.
Yeah.
Make it a one-page lead magnet. I've got a couple of different who's that I'd recommend it. That's some of the things were on the questions.
Yeah.
You need a website. People will not take you serious in today's day and age unless you got something sexy for them to look at when they look you up on social media. And then you can get reviews drawing to your Google location. You get those things rolling. That's what I'll be doing this winter is whether you're developing it yourself or find a who that helps out on Wix or something, you got to get that website.
Okay.
Yep. So, yeah, that's good. Thanks again for watching. If you liked this mastermind, please hit subscribe. It is so super helpful. Everyone asked for it, but there's a reason for it. It helps us grow. It helps us keep doing this. Like this video if you like it, and then hit the bell notification. That way you know when we go live every Monday morning from 9 to 9:30-ish. Today went a little bit longer because we just enjoy chatting with Sean so much. So
good.
That being said,
if anybody's outside our area, if they want to have questions about mulch wrapping, if you guys want to,
how can they reach you?
DM me.
DM?
Yeah, just my personal, probably Instagram page.
Okay.
I can give it.
We'll put it in the chat.
We'll throw it down in the chat and you guys can go find it.
Or email, whatever, I don't care.
We'll do that.
Yeah, I love the idea.
Anything,
All right. Until next time. Peace.